Carl, any more? Oh, tell that story that you were telling me about your dad when he was driving.
Well, it's just that you were talking about, well, I mentioned Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And, the Forrest Gump types. When my dad was when he was a taxi driver.
Yeah.
You used to have to, sort of do your bit for the local area.
Oh, God.
By taking the Forrest Gump people to Blackpool.
Yeah. Is that what they're called now, the Forrest Gump people? Is that what the organisations that support them ask for them to be referred to?
A minibus with Life is a Box of Chocolates.
Exactly.
.com.
Well, Forrest Gump types.
It must have been, so you worked with these people?
It was,
the people with learning difficulties.
And they used to get 5
Coming home must have been a busman's holiday.
So he got 5 of them in the cab.
Yeah.
And they had to go to Blackpool, and 4 of them were really good, you know, behaving themselves, didn't mess about, weren't fighting and stuff, but there was one who was just causing loads of trouble and he couldn't control him.
Oh,
and what you've got to be able to do with people like that, you don't want them to get stressed out because it's not good for them. It stresses them out, and you could end up with a bit
Thanks, Dr. Carl.
You could end up with a bit of a riot on your hands. So he thought, I'll nip this one in the bud right now. And he pulled up just on the outskirts of Blackpool, and he took the one out that was causing problems and put it in a wheelie bin.
Oh, no! Oh, I'm sorry, I apologise.
He did what?
Oh,
He did it for the good of the others. He put it in a wheelie bin, he was having a good time, he thought it was one of the rides.
Can you stop saying it?
Him.
Yeah.
He you know, he was having a good time, and once he calmed down, my dad went back and picked him up, and he was fine, he had a good time.
He left him in there the whole time the others were in Blackpool?
No, he left him there, not the whole day, probably about an hour and a half.
In a wheelie bin?
In a wheelie bin.
Why couldn't he get out?
Because, like, his arms were trapped on the thing. It's one of those
What, he tied him up?
No, do you know, like, because he was a big fella, and, like, he managed to get him in so his arms were down the side like that, so he was a bit trapped.
Wasn't he screaming and crying and stuff?
He was making a bit of noise, but do you know what I mean?
What, you feel served him right?
Well, but anyway, I didn't really want to talk about it. He just brought it up because of Forrest Gump.
Do his, family know about this? Is this the first time they'd have heard about this?
He didn't get asked to do it again. Because he had another problem similar to it where he had a little minibus, and it was his job to take a load of old women to the bingo hall, and it was miles away. And he took him there. There was no problem. About 10 old women in a minibus.
One of them was causing trouble, so he pulled over it.
No, right, so he took him there, everything's fine, he dropped him off, they had a lovely night, right, they had a lovely night, won a bit of cash, coming back, it's a bit of a late night, and they all started moaning at him, going, I want to be dropped off here, take me there, I want to be dropped off first, I've got to get up early, blah blah, you know, my husband's expecting me, I'm already late, take me here first, take me there, and he just pulled up, in the middle of nowhere, said, get out. And he made them get out, and they all called for taxis. They charged that company who was meant to be taking them home in the minibus, and he got the sack. But a similar sort of story. You can't be dealing with it when people don't sort of just calm down and, like, solve the situation.
Yeah.
They're just all like, I want to be dropped off first, take me here first, take me here.
Yeah, so he acts like a madman. Good.
Oh, that's
Alright, we've got to crack on, haven't we, really? We got
says so much. Yeah.
Yes, Nick Drake, a song for the ladies this week from the album Brighter Later, At the Time of a City Clock. That's
Goodbye.
it. Yeah,
Goodbye.
see you next time.
Bye.
My mum and dad, right, they moved to this little house, right, and they had loads of furniture that they collected over the years without chucking out, and they've moved to this small house, so they just had too much furniture, right, and they had this double bed, and that was for, like, you know, when friends come round and that, they can stay there, but the problem was he wanted to sort of put these wardrobes in the bedroom, right?
Right.
That went on either side of the bed.
Sort of wrapped around
because,
the bed.
yeah, but because the room was so small, he thought, I can sort that out.
Yeah.
Right? And he sawed the bed.
He sawed the bed?
He sawed the whole thing, so you've got, like, your mattress, your bed, and everything.
What, he just sliced some off?
Like a big sandwich, just cut a bit off.
Just cut the crust off.
How much is that, would you say?
About 8 inches, 6
About
inches.
8 inches.
But hold on, but that won't work. Because it'll all fall out the side, and then what happened to the springs and all the supports and stuff? It'll just collapse.
It didn't all come out and that. I mean, it's not the comfiest bed. but the weird thing is, he did it, and even though it's only like that 8 inches or whatever, it totally ruined it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, of course it would.
no, but what do you think I mean? I don't mean it ruined it as in it looks a mess.
No, it would have been uncomfortable.
Not even that though, just the fact it's that little bit shorter. It's like, God, for 2 people this is hard work now. This is like, you haven't got enough room, even though it's only 8 inches.
Why did he build the wardrobes first without measuring, putting the...
I think he did all that and then thought, oh, it'll easily fit in there, and it didn't, so he had to sort of saw a bit off the bed. But it's just weird how only 8 inches...
Did he use one of those electric saws?
Yeah.
And there was
That's
just,
amazing.
presumably there was just kind of
What
sort of
did it-
material and wood just flying everywhere.
What did he do with the legs? Did he have to move the legs in a bit?
He moved the legs. Looking at it, right, once it's got like the quilt on it and everything, you wouldn't know. I was like,
Sure.
yeah, that's alright, you've done a good job.
Yeah.
And I went to bed at night, he's like, you know, sleep well. Got up in the morning after having about 45 minutes sleep and said, something not right with that.
Yeah.
And he
You
goes, "What do
really are
mean?"
your father's son, aren't you?
I said,
Not
I said,
right
it's
with
not
that.
right. And he said, oh, well, I said, what have you done? It doesn't seem the same. And he said, oh, I had to shorten it, sort of thing, you know, to fit in the gap. I said, well, I can't sleep in it. I said that, and there was a big kerfuffle. My mum was saying, look, you have our bed then, and we'll sleep in that one. And my dad was like, sod that,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ruined.
you know.
Some idiot cut it.
So, there was a big debate going on about where we should sleep, and I was saying, look, you know, I only come and see you, like, every couple of, you know, probably once
Can
every
I...
6 months.
I'm not being funny, but next time we go home, can I film it? Just for, do you know what I mean, Channel 4 or something?
Well, you know, I mean, the Osbournes is not on at the moment. The
Yeah, no.
Pilkingtons.
Be...
That would be extraordinary.
Oh, can we film it?
Ho, 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 ho. That's brilliant.
Is anyone from Channel 5 listening to this show?
Or Bravo.
Yeah.
The Pilkingtons.
Weird, though. Weird.
Play a record?
What do you want to play? Do you want to play, do you fancy playing something of yours?
What, have we got
I
anything?
don't know, something that was sent in to you, maybe?
Oh, yeah, no, I tell you, yeah, I'd like to play this. Yeah, Bronze Age Fox. Band from Bristol, my neck of the woods.
Always
play the
working,
tune, play
Carl,
the tune.
always working. He's
Play the
always
tune.
working. He's on the ball. He's on the ball. He's on the Bobby ball. Anne Robinson put in the Welsh into room 101.
What, because she didn't like him and that?
Yeah, she just said, well, they're going in the, you know.
She said it slightly more eloquently than that.
Yeah, yeah.
I can the people or the place?
I don't know.
I think it was the place, and therefore the people.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
No, well, you know, my mum and dad have sort of, moved from Manchester, they reside now in Wales.
Oh, yeah.
And it is,
Look at his face, turning his nose up.
no, but it is pretty depressing. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of them places that, it's like you go back in time and that when you go there. I mean, maybe the major cities there, maybe Cardiff is alright.
What, even coming from Manchester, it's like going back in time.
It's just, it's like one of them places that it feels like every day is Sunday. Do you know what I mean? It's just depressing and grey and slate
Lots of
everywhere.
vicars walking around going, I'm late.
Well, yeah, it is the sort of attitude they have, right? And this is true because my mum and dad live there and that, right? And they love it. It's all right. It's an healthy place to go when you get older and that. But this is why they don't move on in Wales.
Well, I'd just like to make another
No.
sorry to any Welsh people listening. We're not saying you don't move on. Carl is.
No, but
Sorry about the little Chinese shoes
the
again.
thing
as well.
is, it's good that in a way that they do that, and they don't want to be like, you know, rushing about everywhere because the way London isn't that great either, is it? Because it's totally opposite here. Right,
Yeah.
so I'm not having a go. It is a bit dull. I think even people who live there will agree with me.
Okay.
Right, but like one of the shops that my mum and dad use, right, it's only a little sort of villagey type shop. They can't be bothered staying open for hours and hours, right? Because there's not enough people use the shop.
Yeah.
So what you do is they get used to what you buy, and
Leave it out.
They put it in a phone box outside.
They put it in a phone box.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get wet.
So my dad's loving that.
Well,
Once he
yeah.
found that out, it was like brilliant.
But how is that a bad thing? That's brilliant.
Well, it's not for other people. It is for my dad because he's picking up all sorts of stuff.
Oh
Chickens.
no, he's not.
Oh yeah.
He's not nicking other people's shopping.
Well, it's not like nicking, is it? Because it's not theirs yet.
Oh, and you've stitched him up on radio.
Well, of course, because they're going to think, who is there in town with a Manc accent? Who hangs around a lot?
Who keeps making phone calls. And he's getting fatter.
Yeah.
That's
You stitched it
I
right
love
up
that.
there,
I love
Carl.
that your dad was excited when he found out.
I can't believe that he's moved there. He's retired to this little village where it's based on trust and community, and he is abusing it. He's using his scally mank ways.
Bloody hell, Lakers, and there's no bread again.
There's old women
Was
going
empty.
hungry.
Yeah.
The cats aren't getting fed, and your father is just. I can't. That's obscene. That's obscene.
Oh, I think it's a die thief. That fella from Manchester.
I don't even think they've got Sky there yet, have they? They can't listen. They won't know what's.
I think you stitched him right up. I hope you have, actually. I hope he goes down for it. I hope he's hounded out of the community like Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
They should get burning torches, go up to the
Set fire
mansion.
to his cottage.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Well,
He's out of the choir.
Yeah.
Tell us about this woman.
Well, it was just because you were saying about the, our living.
We are broadcasting now, aren't we? This is actually going out. This is live. This isn't as sort of like.
Yeah, but you were just talking about how I lived in an old village
Yeah.
with kids with big heads and all that, right? And what I wanted to do.
What is that again? There's two kids with big heads.
Yeah, they just had sort of big heads and webbed hands and that. They went to my school, and when I spoke to my dad the other day, because I'm going to see my mum and dad tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
So I said, have we got any school photographs with the big-headed kids in? And he said, no, nobody bought those sort of school photos because they were in it, so it was always a bit ruined. But I said, well,
No.
he said sales would, because he obviously talked to other dads and stuff like that. And he just said, oh, no one bought them. But anyway, so...
I would love them.
Yeah.
That's why I'd buy them.
Yeah, but I wouldn't stand out, would I? If it's on the mantelpiece.
Yeah. Well.
So, but anyway, so I was talking about,
When you say they had big heads, what do you mean? Do they look like someone from Doctor Who?
they were just quite big.
But they weren't related.
No.
So why did two blokes with big heads and webbed feet?
I lived in a weird area. There was a chemical plant close by.
I can't believe you've never told us that before. That explains a lot. Not just the freaks in your neighbourhood, but
There was loads of weird stuff going on. There was this, like I said, there was this woman who used to live in one of the council flats, right? And she had a three-wheeled sort of big. What do you call it?
Son, three-wheeled son. He was the weirdest bloke we ever knew.
Well, they call it like a big tricycle, but for an adult rather than one for a kid. It was a big one.
It wasn't a motorbike though. It was a
No. It was a push bike thing.
Yeah.
And she used to sort of ride down the road with a fella sat in the basket on the back with his legs dangling over, and they'd be going to the pub and what have you.
Was it a different fella each time or the same one?
Yeah, old sort of bald-headed fella.
Sure it wasn't collection for organs and things. Bring out your ill. And then people just throw Grandad just in the back and go, right, we're getting £4 for Grandad.
But she's
Got a lovely pair of testicles on him. They're very low, but they're
Bring out
extremely...
your dead or nearly dead.
She used to pick on her husband quite a lot. They'd be in the pub and what have you, and they'd be sat by themselves, but she'd always be sort of, having a go at him, moaning at him, sort of pushing him about and that. So my dad and his mate, right, they went round to their house, knocked on the door, she answered, and he said he was a copper, right? He said, Detective Pilkington, gonna come in and have a word.
So I'm just going to make a note of impersonating a police officer.
But for the good, he went in and sort of said, "Now I've heard,
superhero.
Yeah.
I've heard, you picking on your husband a lot.
Yeah.
We'll be keeping an eye on you. Do it again, and there'll be trouble." And she backed off after that. She was
That's
all
good.
right.
And how was the husband? Was he still in the basket though? Was he allowed to ever sort of ride up front with her? Or was he just always in the
No,
basket?
she sort of stopped picking on him in public places and stuff.
That's
like
good.
That.
Just
You can't get done, can you, just for doing that?
I think impersonating a police officer.
Well, you
is a
probably
criminal
did.
offence.
There was no gain. I think you can't impersonate a police officer full stop, but I think they'd probably be lenient on him that he was, But let's face it. He's not going to be caught because why would anyone know? But it's not like his son's going to say it on a radio station, is it? And stitch him right up.
Is this something you did generally? Kind of a little bit of like vigilante work?
Just whatever, and his mate, just, you know, if they saw something going on, they go, what can we do? What little scam can we do, or whatever.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is brilliant. Right, okay, coming up, Knob News.
Smashing Pumpkins, Cherub Rock. That, of course, Rick, is available on their greatest hits.
Brilliant.
If you want.
I mean, that's how I rock. So
Yeah.
I know they. I'm very much the shape of a cherub as well.
Well, indeed.
Naked with a couple of
And a rosy big arse.
and a trumpet.
Yeah.
Do they have trumpets?
I don't know. I've just had an email here. Monkey news
Yeah.
from a listener. Monkey spotted holidaying in Cornwall. A chimp was spotted holidaying in Cornwall last week after befriending a family of 3. One onlooker said, "It was incredible. He dressed and behaved exactly like a human being. He even settled the hotel bill at the end of their stay. The only telltale sign was his lack of table manners and the incoherent babble when he opened his mouth." There we are. So,
Well, we think of that, Carl.
that's the listeners, Carl. That's Joanne.
Amusing, articulate, accurate. She remembered exactly who's there and everything, setting in the bill. It's all there. So, I mean, even though people think that you're slightly simian, you know, slightly less than human on the evolutionary ladder, they do listen to you. So, I mean, I don't know who's more stupid in the end, you or the listeners.
Well, you may recall, Rick, that at the end of last week when Carl had to shoot off early, we issued a little request for listeners just to bombard Carl's email with just pointless emails that really weren't about anything, just to clog up his email for when he returned.
Yeah.
Rick, they sent them all to us.
Brilliant.
I mean, that's the kind of listeners that we've got. We've got reams here on our email of just junk.
I mean, it's like a Marx Brothers plot, isn't it? I mean,
It's
just
ludicrous.
listen.
Listen to what we say.
I got one, about a shaved cat. Well, that's not pointless, I'll be reading that later.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
That'll keep me going for a couple of weeks.
I'll be reading that later.
Did you get to the monkey sanctuary? Because this was the big thing. You were going into Cornwall, you were going to visit the monkey sanctuary. I've never seen someone more excited. You had 2 days put aside for the monkey sanctuary.
I know.
How did it go? Monkey World?
We were on our way, right? I found like a little, in the little cottage that we had, right? It's like a little folder, you know, with little leaflets in saying if you're into mountains, you want to go here.
Yeah.
If you're into castles and that.
the
Little
castle
monkey
world.
on the leaflet, right? So I thought, I'll be needing that. Took that out, made sure that's safe and that, right? We get in the car, getting ready to go. My dad says, "Where is it?" I look on the back. It's in a place called Low or something like that, right? So, we're on our way. Can't believe me luck. It's going to be a great day and all that.
Yeah.
And then, start looking at the leaflet, right? And, noticed didn't have any chimps there.
Yeah, it's not Monkey World.
It wasn't a monkey world.
Well, what was it called then?
Something like,
Monkey Town.
yeah, it was just, it had like woolly monkeys in it. That's what it
That's
was.
what?
Woolly monkeys.
What are woolly monkeys?
Those things, Johnny Vegas off the advert.
Right.
Loads of them. They're dumped now since ITV Digital
Yeah.
went under, so they just put them in a cage.
I don't
They're
understand.
woolly. They're like they're sort of like little fluffy little baboon type things. Woolly monkeys. I mean, it's not your chimp. It's not your classic chimpanzee.
So did the car screech to a halt?
It was like,
Yeah.
it was like the mission in Armageddon. I just said abort. We're on the way back.
So how far have you got before you bothered to read the leaflet?
Probably about 5 miles away from where we were.
So what did you do with yourself? You must have been distraught.
we
Well,
went
they
to,
broke down and then they heard banjo music.
No, we went to a sort of an amusement place.
Arcade.
I'd love to see you in that. What with putting those coins in, so it has to roll down and they go flat, and then an arm pushes
It
them.
was one of them.
Really?
But
I
I'd worked
spent
out it was
years
a
on that
con.
when I was little.
Well, there's a new one. I can't be bothered explaining it, but it's a con. We went to this place, right? My mum and dad had been there before, and they said, "You'll love it. It's brilliant. It's got like a war bit in it."
A war bit, right?
Yeah, like because they know I'm into tanks and stuff.
Yeah.
So you'll be loving that.
So sorry, I didn't know you were into tanks.
No.
Well, they're all right.
Brilliant. It's gone from one of his childhood passions to, well, they're alright.
I know, yeah. Go on.
And but it was awful. I mean, my mum and dad had been there before, and he said, "No, you'll love it." But it was like a really miserable day.
Sure.
Right? All the rides and that were broke.
Yeah.
Broke!
It just reminds you of Manchester.
My dad just ended up, he was more interested, there was a really fat family there.
Well, presumably he was breaking into the machines, trying to scoop off the cash.
I like the fact that those poor fat family were going, why are those people looking at us?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to ride one?
No, but
we're not a ride.
They were massive, and he just like, look at that, look at the state of that. A whole family.
Yeah.
Just, you know, fat.
Bloaters, yeah.
All right.
No, but because fat, there's no need for it, is there? And he was really like, oh god. And then he wanted to follow them into the House of Mirrors to see what they look like. But my mum had got bored. She went off to buy a little Snow White figure. She couldn't believe her luck. It was only $2.99.
Yeah.
She thought it was going to be really expensive. So she
she's
bought
classy
one of
lady.
them.
Yeah.
So she enjoyed that. And then my dad says, come on, we go in. It's rubbish, this.
But the fat family wouldn't let him play with them.
So he just said on the way home, he said, I can safely say that I never want to go there again before I die. So that was that. And then we went home.
Why would he ever give you that information? In case it was like a secret birthday present. You go, oh god, what if they get me a trip to here? Or if he's in a coma and you go, I'll tell you what, I'll bring him out of it.
That fat couple.
yeah.
By his bedside.
Yeah.
But Suzanne said she now realises why I am the way I am after spending like a week with them.
Well,
She
they
said-
told her that they dropped you on your head as a kid, or
No, just like, you know, the way they act and that.
right? Yeah.
Then they were saying things like, Suzanne, so, why is the moon out at night and the sun in the day? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God, there's three of them.
Suzanne, can you tie my shoelaces again?
It was the bit when my dad said, don't waste money on a coffin for him, just put him in a bin bag.
Your father said that about himself.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea. I'm glad you mentioned that, because
That is great.
that gives me an idea.
Carl, I love that look of Carl. Carl is looking back and forth. You know when you sort of you go to a cat and it looks back and forth between two people. That's very much like Carl's looking at us now.
Or when, like, a child sees a midget or something in the street. They're just transfixed, aren't they? And the parents go, don't stare.
When we were pushing Ash, as our producer's in a wheelchair, and we were pushing him
He's
through
not
the
a
sea.
midget, we should make
No,
that
he's not a little midget. He's not tall. But we were pushing him through the sea, and this little kid just came up and just stood in front of him and looked at him.
Yeah.
I just laughed.
It was funny. Do you do that? I imagine that you get caught staring at things.
Yeah, do you go up to people with problems and go, Mummy, is that a monster?
Well, I was telling you one about when I used to go with my dad in the taxi.
Oh, yeah,
What
tell us
happened?
this story.
Well,
Your father was a taxi driver?
my dad he had loads of jobs, which he did back then. They don't do that anymore, do they, people? They don't
Have
do
a variety of
loads
jobs?
stuff.
Sure.
But at one point, he had a black cab, and I used to go with him. Used to get a beer crate and put it in the front of the black cab, and sort of sit just next to the meter. And anyway, we got this call, and like the guy on the end of the radio said, "Oh, you've got your son with you, haven't you?" So he said, "Yeah." So it's just like, you know, we've got to pick up at number 11 Village Lane or whatever. And he said, "Oh, right." And it was this woman. It was like a woman version of the Elephant Man.
Wow. The Elephant Woman.
Yeah, it looked like... it was really strange, because I was in the front of the cab, and when you're a kid, if something looks odd, you're a bit scared of it, aren't you?
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "Look, be alright." And we're driving towards her.
Look, don't worry, son, I've got loads of buns.
And just to
I think
give
I'll
you-
just throw one down the street if you run after
You're
it.
being mean, right?
I am a little bit,
So
yeah.
how old were you, 18?
No, I was about 12 or something like that. 11, 12. And as we got closer to her, it looked like she was holding like a bag of spuds on her shoulder,
For a snack.
Right.
and her head was all a bit mangled and messy and that. And my dad said, "Whatever you do, don't stare at her face."
Yeah.
And she got in the
Because you
back.
turn into stone.
She got in the back, and I had like the mirror, the driver's mirror thing, and sort of having a look, trying to work out. And I mean, he said, "Don't stare at her face." I couldn't work out where her face was. It was that weird.
Oh, God.
So I'm not sure you're from Manchester. I think you're from, like, Narnia or something.
Yeah, you got frog boys walking around
the Lord of the Rings.
That got like the claws of a lobster and the head of a toad.
Yeah.
And you got women getting in with spuds for heads. I mean, what
This
sort of
is not Manchester.
is
This is not the place you grew up. This
Yeah.
is mad.
Oh, you can't believe it in London, can you? You come down and go, look, symmetry. It must be amazing.
It must be a thing to do with upbringing, though, mustn't it? And because again, do you know I've said to you before, years ago when I was a kid and didn't have any worries, good-looking lad, you go through it a bit, have a few more worries, and you look knackered. Now back there's a lot more worries and stuff, so you get a lot more freaks. Whereas in London, everyone's like happy, aren't they?
I love the fact that stress can cause your fingers to fuse and your heads to grow.
No, but if
She must have been really stressed to have a head.
Yeah. She was
Like
was she an accountant or something?
you know what I mean.
But what did she do? What did she say?
Where
when
was she
got in?
going, by the way?
She couldn't speak.
London Zoo, please.
I think she was going to like
To
a
the
pet
fair.
shop. Seriously, honest to God. On my mum's life, she was. Because at the end of the day, that's a good thing with animals. They don't judge you, do they?
She's not
She was an animal. She's a human being.
Not actually an elephant.
No, but she.
You know the Elephant Man was not actually an elephant. You understand that? He's got no elephant genes in him at all.
No.
That was just a cruel name people gave him.
Yeah.
No, it's the name of the disease, isn't it? Elephantitis.
Look, so listen. So this woman, why was she going to a pet shop?
She was going to a pet shop. What, to find a husband?
Is this true?
No, it is true, yeah.
Oh,
I'm
God.
not taking the mickey, because it must be really bad.
Of course it is.
Carl, I
we
need to
haven't.
ask.
I'm going on to you today about cutting myself shaving.
Yeah.
I was going on about that. To think that I mean, she's probably not alive now, but to think,
But you're saying you're going to say this is a worse problem than a little cut shaving, aren't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I
The
think
things
you're
that
right.
you worry about.
There's a couple of key questions I need to ask. One, if she couldn't talk,
Yeah.
how did she tell your father where to drive it? Did she have it
Probably
written on
got
a
some
note?
help
Did she
for that
point
home.
with her nose?
Yeah.
Right, this has got silly. Pick your song.
But and also, finally, where did you say she lived again?
It was like in a village, a little small village.
Right.
Just hidden out of the way.
All I'm saying is we could maybe get like some sort of coach, book some coaches, get a coach party up there to have a look at her.
So
Take some photos.
and now
You can make some lemonade.
the offspring of a woman and some spuds. Please enter at your peril. Should it give me a shiny shilling?
Wow.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, I'm going to play a little bit of Teenage Fan Club song for the lovers here. We left it very late, which has been just you know, rapping with Karl P here, and this is I Need Direction.
I mean, my dad, right? He can like put windows in his house,
Yeah.
do plumbing.
He should. It's dark, isn't it? He's done that first of all. Right.
So he can do what? He's got a multitude of different
Yeah,
jobs.
he can do all sorts. Do you know what I mean? If there's a problem in my flat, I can call him up and say, you know, this isn't working. What should I do? And he'll say like,
Is that our brain surgeon?
he'll say, oh, fix it.
Sure. So what about Monsters Inc? What do you make of it?
It's alright. It is a kids' film. It sort of annoyed.
Is it?
Okay.
I was having like.
what gave that away? do you think?
Could I just say also that I do not advocate the use of vices on friends' heads. It's dangerous. Do not squeeze your mate's head in a vice. That's just between me and Carl, and you know. And
Gervais is an experienced annoyer.
and he probably wouldn't let me do it, to be honest. I have to offer him an awful lot of money. Also, do not smoke. There's no point. And floss. I wish I'd flossed when I was a kid. Also, if you've got a bicycle or anything like that for Christmas, please wear the correct safety gear.
Whoa.
What?
Well, I got a bike as a kid.
Yeah.
Right? And my dad, you know, I think the helmets used to come with them and what have you. I popped it on, went out on my bike, going back into the garden. Dad sees me. He said, "Come here." I said, "What?" He said, "I never want to see you wearing that helmet again. You look ridiculous."
Carl, have we still got Monkey News?
We've got Monkey News coming up.
Now, you must be disappointed because you didn't make it to the Monkey Sanctuary, but you still managed to scrape together Monkey News on your holiday.
Yeah.
That's
So I
impressive.
found some of that. We've got.
How do you get so many breaks and holidays? Because you went away with Suzanne's parents. You've just been away with your parents. That's a couple of weeks, 10 days. So that's probably about 3 weeks in all. You had that. You went to Manchester. You had that day off because your trousers were wet. I mean, and you know, I mean, I suppose because you've only got one job, and you know, I've got a lot more. This is just one of my jobs. But I mean,
don't you ever count your blessings? Go, God, thank God, I can have time off. I don't work too hard. You know, I'm not stressed too much.
No. It's just all to do with when you do work, do a lot. So I get a lot done.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I'm always doing stuff. I mean, even though when I was in Cornwall, right, I'm sat there on the grass.
I'd love to just sit on the grass.
You're too busy.
Chill out a little bit. I know, yeah, well, you know.
Me dad and Susanna playing crib, right? I'd sort of fallen out with him at
Your
that
dad
point.
and Susanna playing
Why did you
crib.
fallen
Because
out
you do
with
live
who?
in the 1940s.
Yeah, why did you fallen out?
Because with crib, have you ever played crib?
Yeah.
Right, you've got to be pretty good at maths.
Sure.
You've got to make your cards add up to 15 and all
Well,
that.
yeah, I was just gonna correct you on you've got to be good at maths. Yeah. What, algebra, quantum physics, what?
No, just adding up.
Adding up to 15. Brilliant.
I mean,
You can almost do it on your fingers.
my dad's,
You could in Cornwall.
Yeah.
but my dad's really good at maths, and like he said, how many have you got? And he always counts his, and it's like 15 2, 15 4, 15 6, 3 for your at, 1 and all that. Do you know what I mean? And he adds it up really
One
quick.
for his knob.
Right, so I was like, right, hang on a minute. And he goes, no, what do you mean, hang on? I said, what have you got? He said, oh, forget it. I said, this isn't fun if you're going to start getting all arsey with me.
Sure.
So,
Get it? Yeah. I love it. But he's only, I don't know him, but I'm sure he's just winding you up. His victory is you going, forget it, I'm not playing.
throughout my life so far, I've never planned for anything, right? It's just always happened.
Yeah.
The time, you know what I mean, being in plays at school, never planned it, but when I did it, I went down a storm.
It was a
that sort of
trial.
thing.
Yeah, we all remember that.
So,
As I remember, you did Little Donkey.
did Little Donkey, yeah.
And then later, someone was filming at the back. Was it your dad's mate?
My dad's mate. Well,
Yeah. And on the camcorder, he listened to it back, watched him playing it. His dad says, just off camera, what does he say?
I don't want to say it because I'm in charge of the show and I'd be irresponsible.
He looks like a right twat.
So,
And so he gets home, listening, watching that, and then here's his dad just off camera go, he looks like a right twat.
yeah, alright, yeah.
What are you worried about? Your dad saying that
Sorry,
on the
can I
word?
just interject? Because I'm really worried about this idea of Carl being on MTV. Because the problem is that, you know, let's be honest, Rick. I mean, we're getting by the skin of our teeth, aren't we? Really, it's only Carl that's keeping this afloat.
Yeah.
And if he gets on MTV and the world sort of gets a sense of him and they understand him, and he won't be ours anymore. We won't be able to control him. It'll be out there. It'll be in the
Well,
public
that's
domain.
the thing. No, that's the thing. That's the terrible thing, though, isn't it? It's like Carl is my pet, but I realise I've got to release him into the wild, sort of. And you know, because I love him, I know he's got to go free.
Sure.
But I wanna.
It's like Kez. Maybe someone will beat him to death, and we won't have to worry.
I'll have you on though, I'll have you on as a guest. Which gets me on to something we've got coming up today.
Oh yeah, he's got a new idea.
Yeah?
Right.
Do you know, like, I've talked about ghosts, and we had that good discussion the other week walking to Piccadilly Circus Station, and I was telling you about ghosts, and you were saying, Carl, don't be an idiot, and all that. Spoke to a woman in the week, done a little interview with
You've done a little interview.
a little interview, 2 minutes or so, with a woman who's got ghosts in her house. So,
I look forward to hearing that later. That sounds brilliant.
coming up later.
Well, I'm going to play a classic tune now. I've just gone straight for it. I've gone for the jugular. This is Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie. Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie on XFM 104.9. I'm Ricky Gervais, with me Steve Merchant and Karl Pilkington. Carl's also nervous. You had a bit of shock last week, didn't you?
Just a little bit.
His dad tuned in.
To the show.
Yeah. And Carl's never told him that he actually speaks on the show. He just said, I just press the buttons, right? He's kept him from it. You used to do radio before and you never told him, did you? It's because the little donkey incident.
Yeah.
When he went along, so...
Was that the twat incident?
Yeah. And so he's never told him since, but they've promised not to listen, haven't they?
Well, my mum said to me, don't worry, don't be put off this week, because, you know, I've told him he can't listen, but I hear my dad in the background kind of going, bollocks. So, he might be listening. So that's extra pressure. Plus a camera crew in.
I know. You don't like it, do you?
This is good training for MTV, because then he can watch you on TV. I mean, what's he going to make of that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Does he know you're bald?
Yeah.
You don't keep your hat on when you're with him and say, oh no, I'll just press the buttons.
No, it's just, you know, it's like when I was in any plays, I didn't tell him.
No.
Any sort of parents' evening, I never gave him the note.
Really?
Yeah.
So what did the teachers think? You were just an orphan?
No, just on an off chance. My mate's dad spoke to me dad once, I think, and sort of said, oh, you go to school to see how, you know, your kid's doing. Is that what you're talking about? So there's a parents' evening, so he went
Said what kid?
he went to one, and that's when Mrs. Matthews said I'd never be a high flyer.
How wrong was she? I think we should call Mrs. Matthews and make her eat her words.
Well,
She'd turn on to MTV when, I don't know, like their slamming session.
Yeah.
And they go, that's young Pilkington. He's bald, but it's definitely him.
I recognise that woolly hat.
yeah.
it's good with the mail, because there's a bloke who's writing for that who said that I'm not an idiot, so it's great. Carry on.
Frank
He said I've
Barrett.
got an what's he said I've got?
An MA. He said, you'll probably find out that Carl Pilkington has got an MA in classics.
That's brilliant.
from Oxford.
Did he?
But,
That's great.
But again, he
Carry on.
He reared his head again. I think he reviewed the first series before anything had been made. I think because he's a travel journalist. I think the more reactionary travel writers think that who is this oik that's come along?
He's just
Didn't you
doing
send the tape to Alan Wicker?
We did. We wanted to get a review, but he was very, very nice and said good luck. He said, I don't feel I can endorse this as it's put back Indian-British relations by 100 years.
What did he say about India, Carl?
I didn't say anything bad. It was just
He
the
said it was
time.
the worst place on earth.
Yeah, but do you know what? Even though I said that, I'll never
What's your
forget it.
definition of bad?
I'll never forget it. And is it better to have a really bad experience somewhere than one where you go, do you know, like, I've been to a lot of Gran Canaria. I couldn't tell you which is what. Whereas with India, I know I was there. There's still bits of me there. It's a tough place. If you can handle that, it's a proper test of your character. And I've got good memories of it, in a way. It's an
But then
amazing...
what do you think of the people that live there? So you must think
Great.
that
Yeah, people were great. Nothing
But
wrong
even
with
the
them.
people, Carl never has a go at the people or their plight or their. He says what he thinks about a situation. I mean, I think that him in the Middle East was incredible. I mean, he said some amazing stuff that isn't. They don't show that side of it. They don't show. Carl was depressed about the wall, you know, and it really moved him. I had a conversation with Carl. I was on the phone for about half an hour, and he was in Africa. He just visited the slums, and he'd done this thing, and he'd helped build a hut.
Friday night comedy.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think it'd be in the programme. It is a bit too heavy, but Carl was genuinely moved and depressed. He felt guilty that he was on telly helping someone because he didn't want to look like one of those actors who go out and do comic relief to go, look at me, look at me. I was going, no, we don't need to show it, we don't need to show it. So he's very, very, very thoughtful about these things. It's not like he's not thick-skinned, he's not an emotionless person. He's the same as anyone, he feels the same as everyone. But he sometimes thinks before he thinks. and
I've got to go to the Japanese embassy to talk about how it's a good place to go.
yeah, they found out he was going, they want him to talk. So what are you going to say? I mean, this is to do with the fact that they're worried that people aren't going there because they think of nuclear fallout or
And I was worried
earthquakes.
about that. I said to you, I don't want to go, and you said it's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it is.
Was it Japan where you were complaining about them not having toilet doors?
No,
That was
that's
China. He
You
confused,
said they invented the iPod.
yeah, he confused Japan and China, of course he did,
okay.
yeah, but now he knows the difference.
No,
He's been to
the
both.
argument was they built a massive, great big wall, but they can't put doors on toilets. It didn't add up to me, that. But forget that. That was last time. I've moved on. I'm wiser. But with Japan, it's an all right place. I don't think it's radiation. There was earthquakes happening when I was there. It's the food. We've got to sort that out.
What's wrong with the food? That'd be one of the main reasons to go.
They
No.
don't cook the fish?
It's just fish all the time, for everything. And some fish that you just go, where have they got that from? You go in fishmongers and you know what fish look like. Sometimes it's like, has someone coughed that up? What is it? What is it? And they're loving it. And that is the worst thing, because at the end of the day, food's important, isn't it? When you go on holiday, you like, you know, that's why I like Italy and that, you get pasta.
Right.
Yeah.
This fish, honestly.
You get pasta here now, I've told you, you can get it in Waitrose.
Yeah. But
So what you're going to say at the embassy is, if you want people to go to your country, there needs to be a
Change-
dramatic
Just say
cultural
you're
shift.
not going to get radiation poisoning, but you could die from a fish.
Yeah.
If the chef doesn't cut it just right, you might die from eating a fish.
No one's going to go to your country unless they start serving pasta.
they've just got to open it up a little bit. Everywhere
Noodles,
you went.
they've got noodles.
I know, but they didn't seem to. It's noodles with fish in. You can't escape it. It was just a fish all the time. It's like living in an aquarium. Honestly, proper struggle with that. That's my thing. As long as I've got a comfy bed and some food, I'm happy anywhere.
Carl, I've got some good news here. This is
Sounds like something from Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory.
this is
Just him in bed eating. Pasta.
This is Javid in Huddersfield. He says, I've got the same experience as Carl. I worked with a family years ago who also had a horse which they kept in the kitchen. You were explaining earlier, someone you kept a horse in the living room. Does happen.
There you go, it does happen.
Does happen.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at some more text. Dear Ricky
Carl,
and
what do you say to those people that say you're not qualified to do a travel show because...
Well, who is? Who is? I've been sent to these countries, I'm saying what I'm seeing. Why do you need to be educated on that?
I agree.
That is actually not a bad point, is it? What would qualify
Carl,
you? Why do you have to be qualified?
Carl, what do you say to these people who say this is another example of dumbing down? Since when was it?
Right.
Since, right.
Right.
Let me
Listen,
finish. Let me finish. I'm speaking to... Right. What do you say to these people who say it's another example of dumbing down? Since when are we meant to celebrate idiocy?
Right.
That's,
well, first of all, this isn't licensed payers money. We're on Sky. I'm probably after a programme called Dogs with Jobs. So let's not worry about what's good and what isn't, right? So there's one point. Secondly, the other night I was in when Made in Chelsea was on. So before they get to me, there's a lot of other programmes people can have a whinge about.
I agree.
I reckon, I know that I don't always get things right, I don't always give clear information. Sometimes I watch it back and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Sometimes you stop yourself during a sentence and you say, what was I saying?
But I think there's something in there. You said it looks nice. You can watch it with the sound down.
I think
you'll still get something out of it.
It's great.
A lot of telly now, I don't know what it is anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what is going on.
Actually, I suppose the public service element is you go to places that I wouldn't have thought of going to, and I find that I want to go to them.
Well,
after having seen your programme.
That is good.
That's a public service
and that's
thing,
all I'm
isn't it?
saying. I'm not saying no one should come in. I'm just saying my problems with it.
Some of the kind of tribes people that you meet, how about for Series 3, inviting some of them back to your house?
Thoughts?
No, I don't
Carl,
know.
what do you say to those people that say you're bordering on the racist with the things you say about other cultures?
People have said that, and I don't know if they can actually pick a point, if they can edit it out and send it to me and say this bit, because I don't know what they're talking about.
No, nor do I.
It's an easy thing for people to whinge about now.
I agree.
It's racist.
Some people did say that, didn't they? Was that some?
But I don't know which bit.
I thought there was one bit when he was on a coach and in China, and a lot of them were sort of just gobbing in bags and on the floor, and he found it disgusting.
That's bad, isn't it?
I would find it disgusting if
That's
anyone.
not racist.
Of course it's not. Of course it's not. But it's.
And that
again,
is-
it's twisted to say that he's despising a culture.
And Richard, this isn't made up. This isn't us getting on a bus saying, right, listen, we're filming now. Can everyone spit in a bag? That sound, that sort of.
We need 30 Chinese extras with little bags. Okay.
Yeah, honestly, everywhere you go in China, you're just hearing that sort of clearing of throat. Everywhere you go, just that sort of sound, which is horrible. I'm sorry. Honestly, it's like a mobile ring. You're just constantly hearing that noise. And people say, oh, did you see much of China? No, I didn't really see much of it, because I'm walking round with my head down, making sure I'm not standing in the stuff. It's everywhere. But then again, it's a very sort of grey, depressing place, so it adds a bit of colour, if anything. But anyway, that was last time. I have moved on, and I have enjoyed
But what
it.
do you say to those people that saying you don't accept cultural differences, and that maybe here it's disgusting, but in China it's acceptable, so you're the odd one out, so you should accept it and go along with it? What do you say to those people, Carl?
But then what's the programme? If I'm just going around like a lot of these programmes do, where they stand there and they go, oh, it's absolutely amazing.
Oh, isn't it lovely? Oh, they phlegm up everywhere.
I'm just saying.
That's what the holiday programme was, wasn't it? Uncritically.
Judith Chalmers going,
2 nights.
There's a lovely bit of gob here. You can stay here for 40 quid. Don't slip on the greenies.
Honestly, I'm not just. I don't walk around moaning saying.
You do?
All right.
You do. But you say it as you see it. That's the point.
That's all it is.
I'm going to take some travel. Stay there. Stay there. I know you're keen to go, Carl, but I also want you to meet the actress Jessica Chastain who's coming as well. All right, stay there.
Awkward.
So reluctant.
It's 10 to 3, Louise Pepper, what's up? Dear Ricky and Carl, my wife and I watched Cemetery Junction last Wednesday. The standout performance for us was Carl as a bald man with sideburns and a tash.
Yeah.
Carl clearly has a gift for acting. Does he have any further roles lined up?
Well, I've offered him a role. I'm shooting a pilot, a couple of pilots actually, at the end of the year, and I've invited Carl to do a little piece there. I can't tell you about it; it's top secret. But he said yes. Cemetery Junction was a good
Can you tell us
day.
anything about it?
I will, but I just want to tell you about Cemetery Junction. We were filming that. I called Carl up. I said, Carl, do you want to be an extra for a laugh, just for the Pilky fans out there? And he went, no. I went, oh, go on. He was after. He went, no. I said, it's pork chop catering, pork chop. He went, all right. How long will it take? I went 20 minutes. He went, all right. So we got him a car. He came down. He had pork chops, didn't you?
Yeah.
Good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'd said to the makeup people, I said, make him look as gimp as possible. So they put on this awful sort of curly wig, gave him a moustache. He looked amazing. But he was comfortable with it because he was sort of hiding behind it. And then just before we shot it, we whipped his wig off. And it was like we'd woken up a baby bird and thrown him out the nest. He was really it's actually on one of the outtakes, and it's him. I'm crying with laughter because he's looking around, everyone's looking at him, and he said, this is like a nightmare. And so we thought it was funnier with his little bald head and the moustache, and it worked, didn't it?
But what's interesting about that, Carl, is you were comfortable hiding behind a bit of a mask. You were comfortable watching yourself as a cartoon on the Ricky Gervais show. Maybe you should do some acting.
Maybe you should pop on a Nambas, because then that's like, we've dressed up your genitals as a completely different set of genitals, and so it's not your genitals in a way. What do you think of that, Carl?
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. 5 Live. The thing is, I can't remember words.
Right.
So, like, Ricky got me to do an advert for one of his stand-up things. And how long was it? 30 seconds? I can't remember. I'm not good. To be an actor, you've got to have a good memory. If it was that thing where they just go make it up, I can do that.
You can't remember 30 seconds.
Well, that's what I do.
Honestly, it's really
all
hard.
my film roles.
Yeah,
I just make some on the day. Is that all right?
I can't do that. It's a tricky bit of...
Just Carl, what do you say to those people who say, because of your mental disability, that I am bullying you and exploiting you? What do you say to those people?
Go on, interesting question. Go on.
It's been asked a lot, but no one's stepping in, are they? No one's helping, are they? It's gone on for 10 years. They say what goes around comes around. When's it coming round then? When's something going to happen to him? When's someone going to squeeze his head?
What you're saying is, if people are accusing him of bullying, why aren't they actually rather
what's
than
being done about it?
words,
What are they doing
get
about
in
it?
there?
What are they doing about it?
Oh, this is bullying. All right. Well, what are you watching it for then? It's ridiculous. Of course, not bullying. We're friends. You know, all these people would rather whinge about it. They've all got their conspiracy theories, but what are we meant to do? We're making this. We don't care whether anyone likes these shows or not. We don't care. We'd rather they enjoyed it, of course, but we're not interested. We just say, it's not for you then. We don't care about anything.
You care that some people like it.
Well, because you get the chance to make it again. That's the only reason we care. But if anyone says, do you want to make another one, that's all that matters to us.
He doesn't want to make it. Are you going to do a third series?
No, I mean, if there's anything...
I've come up with another idea.
What is it?
It's him and Warwick Davis going round, Carl on a bike with Warwick in the basket.
That's all. That is the idea, Richard. That's as far as it goes. I said, what then? That's 10 seconds.
You don't know where
title sequence.
Where's the bike going to go?
It'd be going around sort of like weird sort of events and festivals of England, and there'd be great. It's like two fat cooks.
Yeah, but the difference is there. They took it in turns to cycle and that. Warwick's legs aren't going to reach the thing. It's always going to be me cycling him about. And even though he's small, he's still heavy, you know. I've had him sat on my lap, which is an odd thing to say out loud. But Ricky sorted it out for him to come in and sit and have a chat with me once. And he's heavy for a little
fella. Why did he sit on... weren't there any chairs? Why was he sat on your lap?
There wasn't a chair for him, was there?
No, there was only 2. I only ordered 2.
Right.
Oh.
Carl, I've been looking at the list, 100 things to do before you die. 41 meet your idol. Why didn't you go with that one?
Never do that, never do that.
Who's your idol?
I haven't got any.
You haven't got any?
No.
Okay. No?
No, it's best not to.
But you respect him, you like Bruce Willis, don't you?
Yeah, but that's all he is. I don't want to meet him. I just like Die Hard. Well done, Bruce. But I don't want to meet them. What do you want to meet them
No,
for?
I don't understand that. I've never understood that as what you can get out of
What's
that.
the best that can happen?
67, join the Mile High Club.
No. Again?
Ridiculous.
Stupid. Yeah. Why?
It's nothing to be proud of.
Well, I don't get it. And I don't like using the toilet on a plane for using it as a toilet because I always feel like I'm in a rush. There's always someone might be waiting outside, timing me. Do you know they know how long you've been in there? So just the idea of that is horrendous.
They're the most unpleasant of all toilets, aren't they? Jessica Chastain. Hello there. Hello. That's an inelegant point at which to bring you in. Well, welcome.
Talking about toilets, Jessica Chastain.
What?
The toilet's in. Why I use the toilet before I came in?
Yeah.
You've got sort of 5 Live pumped out everywhere you go in here. You can't escape it.
That's right.
Why doesn't it do it in the toilet?
Well, it's in the lifts, isn't it? I don't know why it doesn't.
But you want it in the toilet, I think.
I think people would sit down too long. They wouldn't leave.
Right, thank you, Jessica.
Good point.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the best review you've ever had.
Yeah.
I need to hear your show on the toilet.
Do you know they do that in Japan on the toilets there? There's a button you press and it sounds like you're flushing it so you don't worry about other people hearing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's good,
So
isn't
what
it?
you do? You're just constantly flushing a toilet.
Yeah, but you're not. It's a sound effect. It's a little button.
But why not a different sound effect? Why not people screaming? The sound of torture. What? You know what I mean? It's arbitrary, isn't it?
Right, it's Jessica's turn now, isn't it? We're running a bit short there.
Jessica Chastain is already. You're in an enormous number of films that are coming up. You're in The Debt, which is about to be released, which is an outstanding film with a remarkable performance by. You've got to see The Debt. It's about a cell of Mossad agents in the 1960s that go Nazi hunting.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Fantastic.
And Jessica starred opposite Brad Pitt in The Tree of Life by Terrence Malick recently. And everyone on the planet will probably know your name within about a year. But meanwhile, I spoke to you last night at the premiere and you were quite excited. And that's an understatement about me and Ricky and Carl.
No.
Have you downloaded the podcast?
Yeah, I've actually.
Oh, this is just awkward.
No, it's really awkward. It's really embarrassing
You
now.
don't have to, I know, because
No,
he was
I
just being
swear.
polite last night,
No,
and now he's making
I
a big
remember
deal.
the podcast about like you guys talking about Brokeback Mountain, and I mean, there's really, I'm
did.
such a fan, and
thank you.
I saw you at Madison Square Garden.
Oh wow.
So, you know, it's funny.
Hang on, this is like your bucket list. You're meeting an
exactly.
idol.
I never really thought that I would meet you guys. You know.
I think it's going too far.
Wait, but that means also I'm about to die, right? If it's a bucket list.
You're like him.
Well,
It
we're
doesn't
all
mean
dying.
that. He thought it meant things to do immediately before you die.
It does mean that.
No, it means to do things to do in your life.
No. But
Who's
if-
going to run round when they're feeling sick, jumping in dolphins and fighting Eskimos?
that's the point of a bucket
Having
list.
sex on aeroplanes.
It's like, all right, I've got 6 months to live. This is what I'm going to do before I die.
Really?
That's what a bucket list is.
There you go.
Ricky, it's 3 o'clock.
Hold on, though. What are you saying people are... no.
It's time for the news.
It's time for the news. Ricky,
It's
you've got to go. I haven't even mentioned
list.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought keep
Right,
the bucket list things to do before you die. You've got
the bucket.
You should.
Thanks for
Yeah, I
having
know. No.
Carl's walking out.
Bye, everyone.
Ricky, do you want to do 5 more minutes? Talk about Life's Too Short. It's up to you. Unless you've got to
Okay,
go.
I'll just very quickly. Wait for that. Okay, sure.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes of news, then 5
Sure.
minutes chat.
Okay. Sure.
Do you want a picture with Ricky?
Yeah, if you can.
Take it during the news. Right, Ricky Gervais is still here, and we'll talk
Fascinating radio. It's like we are talking amongst ourselves. I mean, it's like they've forgotten that this is broadcasting. That is the best. I totally agree. That is the best radio.
On digital and
Ricky Gervais is still here. Jessica Chastain is with me, star of The Debt and The Tree of Life. Ricky, do you want to do some texts from people commenting on the last hour?
Oh, go on.
When Carl was here. Carl's left now. I'm laughing so much I can't breathe.
That's what Carl does to me, though. I think people don't get it. That when you're in a room with him, and I get this sort of all day. I feel so privileged. I don't know anyone like him. I just cannot get enough of him. He's the first phone call I make. He's like a backdrop to my existence. If I'm watching television and it's on Channel 5 and it's like the baby born with 2 heads, right? I call Carl and he answers the phone like this. Weird, isn't it? So now I know he's watching it. So now I'm watching it and I'm getting double whammy because I call him, what do you think of that? And he texts me. It's just, he's remarkable. He's got a different outlook on everything. Just that thing about the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
It's straight away to, I don't even like using it as a toilet. You know, it's just got a lovely
He's got an instant perspective on it.
He's got an original and instant. He sees the world differently.
When you've listened to the podcast, Jessica, have you ever thought, some people think, oh, Carl's a bit of an act. Have you ever thought that?
This is the first time I've met him. No, I actually didn't think he was an act because he just seems so deadpan and honest and.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That is it.
And also, everyone's got a mate like that. They just haven't got a mate like me to get them on telly.
Dear Richard, please tell Carl I can't wait for the new series. I love the last one. I watched it. I was heavily pregnant at the time, and I laughed so much I went into labour.
Excellent.
Carl, you're a different class. At last, somebody on telly worth watching. You're witty, insightful, and intelligent. I had to pull my car over. I'm laughing my head off. I want Carl as a mate, says John in Cambridgeshire.
Exactly.
And so it goes on. Ricky, let's talk about Life's Too Short, which is your new comedy that you've written with Stephen Merchant, starring Warwick Davis. What is the premise exactly?
It's a return to the fake documentary. If The Office was one of those sort of reflected those docu-soaps, those quaint docu-soaps of the 90s, where normal people sort of got 50 minutes of fame, this is brought it up to date. This is like modern documentaries where people live their life like an open wound to get another 15 minutes of fame. And Warwick Davis plays a twisted version of himself. He really was in all those films, but his career's on the slide. He's going through a messy divorce. He's got a terrible accountant, so he's got a £250,000 tax bill, and so he does this documentary.
And he runs a dwarf talent agency.
Yeah, which he does in real life. He does in real life. There's nothing funny about that. There's nothing funny about that. He does in real life. In real life, it's called Willow, which is named after his famous role. Well, we've got one fan. She's gonna be loving it. She likes the premise, let alone the. And in this one, it's called Dwarves for Hire. A little bit more on the nose. But in this one, of course, he's exploiting the other little people, and he's taking all their jobs for himself. So it's not a comedy about a guy being short. It's about.
She'd be happy with
you
that.
Just like the word short.
So I'm just thinking of Willow.
Easy. See, I spent a lot of time on this. I didn't have to. I could just show pictures of dwarfs.
A load of dwarf jokes.
Yeah.
Done. Sold.
No, but it's about him having small man complex. Right? She laughed at small. She laughed at the word small.
Small,
tiny,
and short.
tiny.
Okay. All right.
Have a look at his little clip. It's a short 12-second clip, and this is Warwick Davis in conversation with another dwarf.
The director's furious. He wants to fire you.
It's not my fault. I know the song.
You're a dwarf. How can you not know hi ho, hi ho?
And something about whistling.
You don't know whistle while you work.
I've never heard it before.
How is this possible?
I don't know.
What you're just talking to Jessica about?
Yes, I've just
America.
realised that in America, dwarf is a derogatory term.
No, you're supposed to say little person.
Yeah, exactly, which we do here as well, but dwarf is okay here as long as they have dwarfism. It's a specific type of little person.
This is going on
Midget
HBO.
is out.
Midget, you
is the
cannot
M-word.
say
That
that.
is- That's
That
the
is the
M-word.
worst thing
That's
you could
terrible.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, but and
Is it going on HBO, isn't it?
yeah, well, they were concerned about it, but I think they know that it's it's set in England, and we're never using it in a derogatory way. We're it's people.
But a midget is different from a dwarf.
Well, yeah, dwarfism specific. A midget is, I think, officially. We've just said you can't say it, and we've said it about 15 times. The M word is to do with someone being under a certain height and perfectly proportions due to. I don't know. Go into
Just be
it.
clear,
Anyway,
we're not
you
laughing at short people. We're laughing at language.
Of course we are.
like
Of
mini
course
me is a midget.
Yeah, well, I don't know. As in the show, Warwick Davis says, "I don't know what he is." he said, "I'm all for being short." He said, "But he's taking it too far." Right? No, we're not laughing. We're not in the show. We're not laughing at being short or short people.
And we're not doing that now.
Well, of course not. Of course, we're not doing it now. No, this is a grown-up show. We're not laughing on it. She was.
I was
weren't.
not. I was laughing at you. When your face. when you were talking about it.
It's a
This has
grown-up
done
show.
me no good at all.
I know.
The people who are already up in arms about it could be offensive. Who don't know, of course it's not offensive. Yeah, they are. People say, "Oh, is this?" They say it for two reasons. One, because it's got a little person in it. They assume it has to be cruel or nasty or laughing at his expense. Once again, like we're exploiting him, like we paid him in magic beans as opposed to him being, an executive producer. And two, I think it's because I've got this reputation as a shock comedian, which I've never been. I've seen The Office, they've seen extras, and still they think, oh, it's going to be awful and nasty and exploitative, which is not in the slightest.
Okay, just final question before you go. Are you going to do the Golden Globes
Dwarf
again?
is a funny word, though.
It is a funny word.
Because it's antiquated. So even though it's just a funny word because it's sort of been mugged and used.
By Snow White.
Exactly.
Yeah, the word is funny.
Exactly. Snow White is a fictional character, though, by the way.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's not technically. Yeah. Carl gets a lot of his information from fairy tales, Planet of the Apes, and the Flintstones.
Have you
Just
been
like religious fundamentalists. A lot of them get a view of the world
They don't get
based
that-
on the Flintstones, where dinosaurs roamed with man.
Although Flintstones would technically predate the creation of the biblical Earth, wouldn't they?
How dare you?
Yes, they would. You're right.
How dare
You're very
you?
right. No, he's
Blasphemy. The Earth is 5,000 years old.
Did you?
That's scientifically proven.
It is. The science is in the Bible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you? What more evidence do you need? Do you know? At the end of the Golden Globes, when you closed it by saying "Thank you, God, for making me an atheist," did you get a kind of? We were talking earlier about the people online on very vicious these days. What was the reaction to that? Did you?
Oh, how dare I? How dare I mention the word?
Do you get violent threats?
Oh well, I don't know. I doubt. I think you don't read forums, but no, of course not. No, it's a few people, a few people that think that it was disgusting and out of place. I mean, one, it was a play on words. Thanks God for making us. So I'm acknowledging the God, and why do you make anything? Of course, right? That's the joke. But also, it was a reaction to everyone at award shows who thanks God because they won that award. Like he hasn't got better things to do. You've got earthquakes, famine. Hold on, no, I want it to go to her. Yeah, nice one. It's also saying thank you God, right? Like. He had something to do with it because you needed it. So one, you didn't deserve it, but he pulled a few strings. You know, it's ludicrous to thank God for anything. I mean, as an atheist, it's ridiculous. But even if you believe in God, it's strange that he would choose. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, well, I thought when people pray to get better exam results, I do think, well, you know, why would he pick you over someone else anyway?
And also, why you pray? He knows what you think. He knows everything. He's all powerful.
That's true.
So it's pointless.
Are you going to do have you been offered the Globes?
No, NBC want me to do it, but they will never persuade the Hollywood foreign press. They hate me. I think it's because I introduced the president as saying I just helped him off the toilet and popped his teeth in. So that could be why. Also, I don't think
do you live in Hollywood? Do you live in LA?
Yeah. Yep.
Are they sensitive to those sorts of jokes over there?
Well, you know, there is something about the California peace, love,
being positive.
Smile. Yeah,
it's not that. It's because the award shows are meant to be mutual backslapping. Everyone saying how brilliant everyone else is, as long as they say how brilliant you are. And I made a decision. Do I pander to the 200 most privileged people in the world in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home? Award shows are boring and pointless. They are not a spectator sport. So I tried to make it one.
Are you saying the Hollywood Press Association have blocked it? NBC said yes, and they've blocked it. They've just said no, you're not doing it.
Well, they said that at the time, and I don't think they'd be persuaded. I think they want their own little industry, and they want to celebrate, and that's fine. Okay. But I'm not the man for the job.
Ricky, thanks for coming in. Thanks for staying so long.
My pleasure.
It's always tremendous. Great.
I'm eating into your time. Give us some extra time. No, she's got to try and backpedal about laughing at.
No, it wasn't me. It was the face you were making.
Yeah. There's a webcam there. So, yes. Thank you.
Too many people
nice to meet you.
Remind us when Idiot Abroad starts again?
Tomorrow, 23rd.
Tomorrow.
Friday, 9 o'clock, Sky.
You've got to see The Debt.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Ricky. Bye-bye.